Hello guys. Here we have a Lenovo that was not turning on at all. There was no light and it wasn't charging at all. So as always guys, you have to start on your charging port. There I was checking the 19 volts or the 20 volts and I was getting 20.7 volts. Okay, so I had to make sure that the power was coming through. But anyway, the problem was on the output I was getting 0 volts. As you can see, I was trying to check on the output voltage. Anyway, there we go guys. I'll be showing you under the microscope. Let's go ahead. Alright, yes, so we have to start again from the beginning. Start on the charging port on the DC in jack, and there we go. I was getting what? The 20 volts there, and then when you follow the power rail, as you can see, it goes straight into that coil. And then after the coil, it goes where? Straight into the first MOSFET, the DC in jack. After the first MOSFET, it goes into what? Into the second MOSFET. Then from the second MOSFET, it goes into what? Into a current sensor. Anyway, I know that you might be confused, but let me show you. We're gonna find a schematic online. I believe it's gonna be much more easier with the schematic. Okay, to get a schematic, you use the board number. I always show you guys the board number. I don't think you will have any issues finding the board number or finding the schematic. That's why I won't go deep into showing you how to get the schematics, because it's all there online, free of charge. Anyway, to confirm whether we have the correct schematic, let's check PQ. PQ311. So you're gonna type on your schematic, just open tab and then type PQ311. So that PQ311, it should show you that that's a first MOSFET. PQ, it's a what? It's a MOSFET. It's a transistor. P stands for power, then Q, it's for what? It's for the MOSFET or the transistor. As you can see, the power starts from the V in and then goes straight into that first transistor. After the first transistor, it goes straight into what? Into a second transistor, second MOSFET. And then from there, it's gonna go through what? A current sensor. PR. PR is for what? It's for current sensor. P is for power. Then R is for what? Is for a resistor. So that's just the current sensor. The current sensor in most cases is always R010. Okay. Anyway, guys, there is number of reasons why we may have 0 volts on the output on the current sensor. Number one, the common reason is when the MOSFETs are shorted. When there is a shorted MOSFET, one of them, it won't allow power to pass, because one of those MOSFETs is what? It's shorted. And those MOSFETs are controlled by what? They are controlled by a charging chip. Okay. I have a flu. Okay, guys, I did check, and none of those MOSFETs were shorted. There was no short at all, and I have to be sure, double check, but still, the multimeter was telling me that there is no continuity between the two sides of the MOSFET, meaning there is no short. I even compared the output to ground to check for a short to ground, but still there wasn't any short. As you can see there, I was poking, trying to find a short, trying to find a shorted MOSFET, but anyway, unfortunately, there wasn't any short on the board. So okay, I had to go through again, double check everything, and there wasn't any short at all. Guys, I couldn't believe it, but what can I do? There was no short. It's all. Okay. Okay, in this case, I was a little bit confused. So, what I did was I had to change those. That MOSFET, the second one, and besides, I didn't trust that MOSFET, so I had to change it because I believe maybe there was something wrong with it, so I had to change it, guys. And you can see it's written there 7408. That last number at 8, you checked whether it's even or odd. The fact that it's 8 there, it's an even number, which means it's an N channel MOSFET. So I had to find another N channel MOSFET to replace that one. So I found this guy. It looks very dodgy, but the MOSFET is working 100%. There is nothing wrong with this MOSFET. And I had to replace the above one as well. Now I remember I changed my mind and I had to replace both of them because I didn't know which one was causing a short because there wasn't any short. So I didn't know which one was faulty. So I had to take a try and then change both the MOSFETs because I wasn't losing anything. So guys, it's worth a try. So I had to replace both MOSFETs. But anyway, I was dumb because as I've said before from the beginning, those MOSFETs are controlled by what? They are controlled by a charging IC. So it means when they are not allowing power to pass, it means you have a problem with your charging IC. Not sure if you're getting it, but I had to you change those MOSFETs and give it a try. Let me repeat this again. In a situation where the MOSFETs are not allowing power to pass, there might be a short. But if there is no short and if they are not shorted, remember one thing: those two MOSFETs are controlled by the charging IC. You have to do what? You have to replace the charging IC. You can give it a try and replace them, but it won't help you guys. So I had to replace what? I had to replace those two MOSFETs. But again, unfortunately, I believe the results were exactly the same. And guys, I don't know why. After changing some few components, I like to clean the board and clean my mats a little bit. But it sounds very, very funny. So after changing those MOSFETs, I had to check what I have to test the motherboard. Testing the motherboard was one of the best things I had to do. So I was testing the board, as you can see. As you can see, I was getting 20 volts in the input, but on the output I was getting 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.3. Guys, I was very frustrated because after changing those MOSFETs, there was no results. Everything was exactly the same. And guys, I won't lie to you, a physical inspection, it's very, very important. Sometimes you just have to look around, check the board, observe, check everything before you can continue with the repair. Okay, there we go, guys. That's what is that? That's a BQ chip. BQ, those are what are charging IC. Those are charging IC. So I had to replace the charging IC. to remove that charging IC and use another working charging IC, guys. Normally I use the donor board to get all the components. There we go. I was using another IC there from the donor board. That chip, guys, is responsible for charging your laptop and for allowing power to pass from those two MOSFETs. In case there's a short, that IC, it won't allow the power to pass straight from those two MOSFETs. So it means those two MOSFETs are controlled by this chip that I was replacing right here. Alright, guys, I hope you can see the board was turning on but blinking, so I had to change the RAM. I have to clean the RAM a little bit and then put back that memory, but still the board was doing exactly the same thing. Normally when the board doesn't display or doesn't boot, we have to change the RAM before you can suspect other things. The RAM's the main things, the first thing. In fact, you should always change RAM or use another RAM, clean the RAM, but the first thing first, always check the RAM. Okay, I was getting 20 volts on both sides. You see 20 volts on the input and 20 volts on the output, even from the current descent. It means the 20 volts was flowing. And again, we have to confirm, we have to check those bigger components like those big capacitors, whether you get the 20 volts. And I was getting 20 volts and it was charging the battery, as you can see, at 0.4. And on the on those capacitors, I was getting 20.7 voltage. So it means the main voltage was going through the board, was going all over the motherboard. So now, why it wasn't booting? Always I was happy with the first result, even though the board was tough, but I was very, very, very impressed. And I was getting 5 volts in that 3.3, which is good. Okay, and I was getting 1.8 on the BIOS. It means this BIOS doesn't use the 3.3, so I have to program once the BIOS. That's why I was removing the BIOS, and then I have to mount it on my BIOS programmer. I use the USB mini programmer, and there we go. There's my BIOS chip sitting on top there. So to find the file online and then program what the BIOS. And anyway, guys, I won't guide you and I won't show you the steps because I have videos explaining this, showing you how to program the BIOS. In case you want to know how to program the BIOS, watch my previous videos. You will see I do teach people how to program BIOS. Once you are done with programming the BIOS, we have to boot back the IC. So this time I had to show you under the microscope so that you can see the BIOS chip. For the first time, you can see the BIOS chip, and they're using they're using the Win bond. You'll find a lot of manufacturers, but the Win bond it's a well-known brand. So in order not to get those stiff joints, we have to apply flaxy, and then everything will be so smooth. The flax, you get smooth joints. Okay, so I have to connect my HDMI cable. Within the HDMI cable, I'll be able to get the display. So there we go. It was giving me a display and then not giving me a display. So I believe it was setting up or putting up, but finally it gave me a display, and it was all fixed, and the board was working 100%. Sometimes it can be your HDMI. We have to connect it proper and all those things, but in this case it wasn't connected proper, so I had to push it, and then there we go. The board was solid, working 100%. Anyway, I will see you guys.